Okay, this is Star Trek Resurrection Part 2. Starbase 3056 in the Beta Quadrant. Admiral James T. Kirk stares in wonder at the gleaming silver ship on the view screen. It is fully equipped with temporal shielding and can travel to any point in history in the blink of an eye, explains Captain Duquesne. You're giving me my own time ship? Laughs Admiral Kirk. She's called the FTS Enterprise. That stands for Federation Time Ship, by the way, smiles the captain. We named her in your honour. You are full of surprises, smiles Kirk. I have a few more surprises for you, Jim. Captain Duquesne taps his communicator badge. Relativity to Enterprise. 2 to beam aboard. Aye, aye, Captain, replies a deep voice with a Scottish accent. Admiral James T. Kirk and Captain Jason Duquesne stand on the transporter pad of the FTS Enterprise. Scotty! Admiral Kirk looks astonished. What the hell are you doing here? The fat, grey-haired man grinned at his old friend. I had a transporter accident some centuries ago and ended up on Captain Picard's Enterprise, explained Scotty. He gave me a shuttle, and just as I was about to reach Riser, I had a malfunction in my warp core. These kind gentlemen rescued me just before the ship exploded. He shook the Admiral's hand. It's good to see you, Jim. We've got a hell of a lot of work to do. Chapter 3. The doors of the elevator slide open, and Captain James T. Kirk and Scotty stand on the bridge of the Federation timeship, Enterprise. A silver-haired Nubian woman sits at the communication console, stands up, and turns to face the captain. She smiles a broad-toothed grin. Kirk stares in amazement. Uhura! He gasps. Is that really you? Admiral Uhura hugs her old friend. I was rescued when my starship hit a meteor storm, explained Uhura. There is someone else here who you may remember. She turned towards the captain's chair. The chair spins around. Spock! Gasps Admiral Kirk, rubbing his eyes in astonishment. I'm glad to see you too. Spock almost smiles. But how? Asked Jim Kirk. I was on board a Romulan freighter, explained Spock. I was trying to form an alliance between the Romulans and Vulcans on Romulus for some time, as an ambassador. We were attacked by a fleet of Andorian ships. According to the history books, there were no survivors. I'll repeat that. I said, according to the history books, there were no survivors. What about Dr. McCoy? Asked Kirk. Captain Duquesne stood behind the Admiral. He lived a very long life, Jim. He was 137 years old when he died. We are not allowed to rewrite history, only to correct it. Admiral Kirk wiped a tear from his left eye. Oh well, he frowned. I suppose that bones should remain buried. I'll repeat that. I said Admiral Kirk wipes a tear from his left eye and sighs. Oh well, I suppose that bones should remain buried. Chapter 4, if you've got enough time. A wise old grey-haired Japanese gentleman trims the branches of a small miniature bonsai tree in the glass house of his roof garden above Times Square in New York. Admiral Sulu yawns. Oh, I must be getting old, he sighed. The retired Starfleet officer. A pot of Cardassian fish-head stew boils on an old black stove in the kitchen of the Admiral's penthouse apartment. Sulu sits down in an old wicker chair on the balcony overlooking Times Square. He soon falls asleep. The Cardassian fish-head stew still bubbles on the stove. Half an hour later and the old Japanese man opens his eyes. What's that smell? Sulu sniffs. Something's burning. The kitchen is on fire. Golden red flames dance through an open window, and a cloud of thick black smoke chokes the penthouse suite. Suddenly there is a flash of rainbow light, and Captain Kirk materializes in front of his old friend. Don't bother running in there, smiled Kirk. You will get burnt to ashes. The captain grinned at Sulu. "Come with me instead." Kirk taps his communicator badge. "Kirk to Enterprise. 2 to beam aboard." The headline of the New York Times one day later. Admiral Sulu dead. He died in a fire in his penthouse apartment. Chapter 5. "Battle stations! Red alert! All hands on deck!" shouts the captain in a Russian accent. "We're in for a fight! Raise all shields!" orders Chekhov. The USS Vostok is surrounded by 5 Andorian vessels. "Fire all torpedoes! Widespread!" shouts the captain. "Their shields are holding," sighs Lieutenant Wright. "Hold 'em tight," suggests Chekhov. The Andorian ships fire a burst of phasers at the Vostok. There's a flash of rainbow light and Admiral Sulu materializes beside his old best friend. "In 2 seconds, this ship will be space dust," he frowns. "Sulu to Enterprise. 2 to beam up." Anyway, that's about it. And the rest is up to Berman, Piller and Taylor, right? I'll give this story to Rick Berman, Michael Piller and Jerry Taylor if you want it. Star Trek Resurrections. And that's the end of my bit for now. Pilot episode. See you later. I hope. Billie Jean is not my lover. She's just a girl that says I am the one. But the jet is not my son.